Hi, my name is Michael De Silvas. I'm a preacher from New Hunter Church of Christ. There is a problem in our community, and it's a problem that really isn't being really talked about or addressed in a lot of churches, but I think it's something that all churches of Christ should talk about when they talk to their children about appropriate boundaries and about inappropriate boundaries of touch, and about appropriate affection and inappropriate affection, because there's nothing wrong with having affection as long as it's done the right way. Now, I'm going to talk to you about some things to hear a little bit today, and it has to do with child pedophilia and child predators. And a lot of these predators you may not even know. You might live beside one. They might live behind you or a block over, but they're all around us in this county. And they're in every county in every state, and they're all over the world. If we were to break down how many people actually really do prey on children, a worldwide figure, would be about 3.5 million people. Now, in the United States, it would be about 200 to 300 and some thousand people. So it's a small percentage, but it is a problem. So it's not like every home. That's why I'm giving you these real figures, because they're real statistics based on a 2015 census. That's actually what is out. And of course, that doesn't give an account where all sex offenders and child predators report when they move. So some of that may be a little off, because they're not always reporting themselves when they're supposed to by law. When they do move, when they have done something like that and they have that on their file, some of them don't always report. So that could be a little off. It could be a little bit more than that. But it's pretty accurate. But that's pretty much the statistics here. Now, I want to say something to a person that's a victim tonight that may have been going through this horrible thing, and maybe have been exposed by an adult, maybe an aunt, uncle, maybe a preacher, maybe a teacher even at school, or maybe even your parents even, or maybe your son, maybe your brother or sister. If you have reported them, that is great. I want to commend you for doing that, because that's the right thing to do. And if your parents took the right actions to take, and they have admitted it, that they were weak and they did that, that was a great thing to do. Okay? Now, secondly, now there's another thing that goes on, and that's called, I like to call what is known as deception. Sometimes things go on in homes that are not reported because the parents don't want to believe it, and they just don't want to address it because they don't think that their children are capable of doing these vile acts. I know of a situation that I once helped of a family, and it may be truly still going on in your family right now. But what would happen is, after the parents and all the other kids would go to bed, one of the brothers would get up and sneak into the sister's room, which is really sick, and sexually violate her. Oral sex, possibly penetration, things of that sort. And this went on for a number of years. And it may be going on in your home. And somebody may have said something to you about it, to you as parents, and you chose, instead of listening and addressing the issue on out, you chose to believe your child because you don't want to see your children get in trouble, or you don't want to see them, really be discovered that they really are a child predator. So you might be trying to look the other way because you think it's something, a phase, because maybe it's based on some beliefs that you may have that are not scriptural to believe, and that's why you allow the behavior to continue to persist. But when somebody, is violent to their sister or brother, that may be the one that's being victimized sexually, they will look at them sternly up and down. They will always stare at them. They will make comments, back, or they'll give them looks like, hey, you better keep the line, because if you don't, you know what I said I'll do to you. Or what I'm going to do to you if you say something, or you tell on me, because that's what predators do. They give that look, and they'll give that long stare. So if your kids are constantly doing that, trying to keep each other in line, that's what predators do. And if you might have one in your home, because normally kids don't just constantly stare at each other, or give them hard looks. that may be the reason why why your son and daughter may be doing that, because maybe that could be going on with them. And also there may be a pattern in your family that maybe you, as a mother or even a father, have been sexually violated yourself by your brother when you were growing up. And that's why you don't want to believe that your son and daughter are capable or doing exactly the same thing. Because usually when people, a lot of times, that have been molested by a family member, a lot of times they will keep it quiet because they don't want to believe, they're in awe that this would really happen because it happened to them, and they don't want to think that it would possibly happen to their own son or daughter. And they don't believe that their son and daughter would do something like that, so they just look the other way and think that it's a phase, or they just explain it off, like I said. But it's not a phase, because this is not normal behavior. You know, children don't sneak up and get up and go lie down together in the living room or anywhere in another part of the house where they can't be heard or noticed. The reason why they do this is because they don't want to they don't want to be caught in doing something, so they try to go into a place of the house where they're not going to be noticed or heard. And that's why you might find clothes down there in the floor, or why your son and daughter might come up to you and say, hey, I don't like to sleep alone at night. I don't want to sleep alone, I want to sleep with you. Because they may be trying to get away from somebody. And they may be trying to get away from a brother or sister that may be molesting them. And that's the reason why they're saying that. When they're 10 and 12 years old, that's why they're doing that. Because they're afraid to be alone in their room at night because they're trying to get away from somebody. And if you don't believe that, you're going to find out one day when you walk in on it and find them doing it. And you're going to wish you listened to the person that told you many years before. Because sometimes this stuff is going on and it's not being addressed. And because they don't believe it. And they just overlook it. And so if your parents are like that, you need to go to somebody that will listen. Like I said, a youth minister, a preacher, myself, or social worker, a teacher, or maybe the resource police officer at your school. Because those are the people you need to talk about if this behavior is going on. And if this is happening, don't be mad at the person that's talking about this, because they're trying to help you so you will have the strength to stand and the courage to stand and report this person. And if it's your brother, I know you don't like it. Or if it's your sister that's doing this to you, you may not want to report them because you love them. You have mixed feelings about it because you don't want to see them get in trouble. But it's the right thing to do. Because as soon as you tell, whether it's a brother or sister, as soon as the abuse will stop and the manipulation will stop, and they can get the help that they need, and they can start healing, and you can start healing. That way you can have normal relationships when that time comes in your life with a man or a woman, if it's happening to a boy. That kind of behavior is happening to a son or a daughter. They will have normal relationships. Right now, there's help to correct that because you're still young. But if you wait when you get older, that is sick and gross. There's some people that actually have had relationships like that with their son and daughter and actually got married. Why do you think Sodom and Gomorrah was burnt to the ground? It's for the very same reason of what we're talking about here. Because God did not like that type of behavior going on. And believe me, there are some people in homes that are doing this type of horrible stuff to their brothers and sisters. And they're threatening them. They're hitting on them. They're beating them up. They're threatening them, saying, I'm going to hurt you or kill you or do something to you or do something to a family member if you expose me. Because that's what predators do. And I'm going to tell you because I work with this stuff. I know. Because that's the signs. I can see the writing on the wall. And that's what a lot of them do. And even children that are molesting other siblings will do those same very things. So I'm here. You need to pay attention to the signs, parents. If your child is acting weird and wants to come in your room at night when they normally should be staying in bed, when they're 11 and 12 years old and 10 years old, that's not normal behavior for them to run in your room almost every night to stay with you. It sounds like they're trying to get away from somebody. And that's why they're doing it. So I want to let you know these things because I love you. And as soon as you can notice these things that are going on, the sooner the better. There's hope for your family and for the people that may be the victims. And they can also recover and heal. I'm Michael DeSilvas from New Hunter Church of Christ. I care for you, and I love you, and I want people to get the help that they need. It's good that if you had the courage to tell kids, that was great that you told on that person. But if it's still going on, and it's really going on in your house, you need to bring this out and tell your parents. And if they don't listen, go to somebody that will. Okay? I love you. Take care. Michael DeSilvas from New Hunter Church of Christ.